I'm just going out for a moment. Why? To make a cup of tea. Why? Because I'm thirsty. Why? Because it's hot. Why? Because the sun's shining. Why? Because it's summer. Why? Because that's when it is. Why? Why don't you stop saying why? Why? Tea time, that's why. High time you stopped saying why time. What? Why? 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 And people know what's coming next, and that way you draw an audience in because something's going on in their minds. They're thinking, yeah, I know what's going to happen, I know what's going to happen, and then when it comes at the end, they don't. I've caught them out, you see. So that way you keep an audience interested. That's part of the trick of writing, keeping an audience interested.
So once you came up with the idea, how did you develop the actual story?
Okay, when you have a good idea, the first thing you've got to do is write it down quickly before you forget it, don't you? And then you want to make an interesting story that people will want to read. Now, that is the original handwritten Angelina Ballerina in my handwriting. So I usually jot it down, in handwriting, my ideas. Mm-hmm. And I try and put a lot of drama in the story and make it exciting.
Yeah. Your brother is driving back from university and your grand's coming over. We are all going to be here.
What would Jennifer and Tracy say if they found I couldn't go because of my dad? Mum, that is so uncool.
I don't care if it's uncool. That's the way it is.
Mum, please.
Becky, I don't want to hear another word about it. You'll be home by 7.
No, I won't.
Right. You come straight home from school. No Sarah, no Jennifer, no nobody. Rebecca!
Sam walked on and on. The track twisted and turned this way and that. There were small scuttling noises. Once a rabbit hopped across her path. An owl hooted and made her jump. Sam was cold and lonely. She wondered if she should go back. And then... Bother, 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 bother! Sitting on a log by the side of the track was the strangest little creature she had ever seen.
I loved hearing you talk about all your different worlds and fantasy settings in your stories. And I was just wondering, does it take you a long time to really sit down and think about it in your head, or does it just come naturally to you?
It varies a lot, but I'm a big daydreamer. What I tend to do is I sit in my office and I shut my eyes and I think, what if this happens? Yeah. What if that happens? And sometimes the ideas come thick and fast. Sometimes it takes me a little longer.
7 skeleton sisters, all slowly swallowed 7 small, scrappy suppers. And, Sunday fed, soothed and satisfied, each sister sang and sang her sweetest, till sisters all sighed softly and seemed ever so slightly swelled.
Lastly, James, what do you think is most important when performing a poem?
Oh, I think first of all you ought to know the poem.
Yeah.
You ought to have read it a number of times. You can really make a performance of it.
Yeah.
And it's rather joyful. I mean, to like the poem is in the first place is the beginning.
So there are some poems that you don't really like that much that you've written?
Oh, there are some poems that they were not written to be read aloud, really, in a public way. They are to be read quietly and and thoughtfully. So I don't usually pick them out to read.
Yeah.
This is the start of The Diary of a Killer Cat. Chapter 1, Monday. Okay, so hang me, I killed the bird. For pity's sake, I'm a cat. It's practically my job to go creeping round the garden after sweet little incy-wincy birdie pies that can hardly fly from one hedge to the other. What am I supposed to do when one of the poor feathery little flutterballs just about throws itself into my mouth? I mean, it practically landed on my paws. It could have hurt me.
You've read this story in the first person.
Why do you choose to write a story that way?
Well, there's a tremendous immediacy about the first person. I mean, when somebody starts off I, you're immediately interested in them. The question that you immediately think is, who is this? Who is this talking to me? Also, when somebody's telling you a story, their own story, they get to pick and choose which bits they tell you about in which order, so you can cut to the most interesting things first. So there's all those advantages. I also think how people feel can spill out much quicker, much easier in the first person.
Last year my favourite teacher was called Mr. Long, and he was very tall.
And of course it would be nice to make a new verse about Mr. Long, do you not think so?
That's exactly what I want to do.
I wonder if I can start it off. My new teacher is Mr. Long. You should hear him sing a song. He goes on and on as if he will never get it wrong. That's what I like about Mr. Long. It's good fun, isn't it?
Yeah.
Stephen and Charlie, you have done absolutely great with this poem, and I think it has worked. And now, Charlie, you're going to read it for us. Okay? Thank you.
Postcard poem by Stephen and Charlie. Mum, it's beautiful out here. It is so enormously different. The great sky meets the great sea. The way the sea claps and splashes on the shore, I feel it splashes me. The new pier is lovely and fun, and the old pier is the opposite. The morning hustle and bustle of the transport on the roads make me feel the world is moving. Mum, I have never seen such a clear vision of the sky and sea. Some feeling in me has got bigger. It's a feeling I've never experienced before. A feeling of pleasure. The seaside sounds make me know if I was on the beach alone, I would not feel afraid. Mum, I should give our apartment block a change more often.
The sun makes Great-Grandpa hot and grumpy, so we go home, and he goes to bed to rest his old head. And I sit with my gran on the grass in the sun, and she says, "It's sad to be like Great-Grandpa is now." But I know it's not, for my great-grandpa knows things that no one else knows. In his mind he goes places that no one else goes. He's got me, he's got Gran and my mum, and we love him a lot. But he shouldn't go out when it's hot.
I was 10 at the time and not really tall enough to be a basketball player. I've grown a lot since then. But in 1952 I was only 4'3". All the other boys in the team were at least a foot taller. They used to tease me, calling me Shorty and Titch. But I didn't mind. I knew I was a good player. Because I was fast, very fast. My chance came 2 minutes before the end. Tommy Jessup, our star scorer, was tripped as he went to shoot. And as he fell, he twisted his ankle. "On you go, son," said the coach, "and don't get knocked over by the other team." "Who do I pass to with Tommy out? Who's going to score?" I asked. "I don't care who scores. We're 3 points down. And unless we score 4 points in the next 2 minutes, we're going to lose this final." And with that, he pushed me out onto the court.
"Look over there. All those plots of land. Which one belongs to you?"
"None, Father."
"None? Eh? And you, my child, look. Among those farms, which one is your own plot of land?"
"None, Father."
"None. And how old are you again?"
19.
19. You know, at the age of 19, I said to my father that enough is enough. That as from today, I was going to take over the workings in the farm. I said to him, "Stay home." I was working the farm and bringing home food. But I've got news for you.
"What?"
"I've got news for the three of you. You see, the cubs, they never stay with the lion forever.